What's up, everybody? It's a Hardy Construction. You can find us on Tumblr, not really, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever else you can find us when you Google the Hardy Construction. If you find us on YouTube, actually like us, share us, our links with the host Komp
or Dash.
And today's film is
Midori, 1992.
Shojo Tsubaki Gekiga 1992. A little orphan girl joins a freak show circus troupe whose members rape and abuse her. She then finds a glimmer of hope in the enigmatic magician who joins the group. Directed by Hiroshi Harada.
I like that word, enigmatic.
Enigmatic.
Written
by Hiroshi Harada, based on the manga by Suehiro Mauro, starring Manako Naka. Wow, Manako Naka, that's a cool name. Norihiko Morishita, oh brother, Kenusuke Okamoto, and a whole bunch of other people. So, Danny, why'd I pick Shojo Tsubaki Chika Gento Gekiga, also known as Midori?
Because you like watching puppies getting stomped on and their guts spilling out of them.
I remember that scene was gonna happen. As soon as I was seeing it, I was like, maybe I should warn Danny about that. Yeah, you're a dog person, so I still thought that made me.
I was very upset.
I could imagine you were like, "Oh God, oh Jesus!" watching it.
I actually did get sad.
It was pretty gross. So the reason why I pick Shojo Tsubaki Chika Gento Gekiga, also known as Midori, is because I'm a big fan of the artist Suehiro Mauro. Suehiro Mauro is a guy that okay, so here's this thing. Back then, for you young kids out there, there used to be a place called Virgin Megastore, and we used to have in New York City. We used to have one in Union Square and also in Times Square. I used to visit the one. I
used to be a Tower Records guy. I never went to Virgin.
Right, I used to go, and Tower Records is still available in Japan. So, but people don't want to buy shit anymore. Yes,
Japan
I told you this.
Is just better.
So I wonder if they got Virgin. I think they still. No, I don't know if they got.
Well, I'll be going to Tower Records when I get there.
Good for you. So, Union Square Virgin Megastore, because I had worked around there for about nearly 9 years. I used to go there basically daily, and downstairs they would have book sections. And the cool thing about Virgin Megastore is that they had basically uncensored books. Like if you go to a Barnes and Nobles, they don't have a lot of the type of weird books. You know, like very off.
Well,
they do, but they do, but it's not like easily found. Like Virgin Megastore, I guess, was catering to scum of the earth like me. Mm-hmm. And I just went back there, and they would have all these weird graphic novels and like photo books and stuff like that. You can probably find them mostly at like Strand if you're from New York. But anyway, I found these book, and I forget which one it was. I think it might have been Comics Japan or something like that. But they used to have these collections. It's very nowadays you can find manga anywhere. They just like print manga like crazy. This is like pre-manga craze. And they had this book by Suehiro Mauro. It wasn't necessarily this one, the Midori book. Also known as.
Does this guy do other stuff that's well known?
Oh yeah, he does. He's like a world-renowned artist in Japan. He's a specialist in this thing called Ero-guro, which is Ero-guro, like Ero as in erotic and guro as in gore. Okay. And it's a style of art that mixes like hyper-violent imagery with sexual images.
You know what? I think I've seen his stuff though. Besides like the quick Google search I did before, like, is there one where it's like somebody's like going down on a wound and someone's like leg or something weird like that?
I think that's another artist that I know. That it looks very like flat, like 1920s type of old school art. Like it's not like very detailed, but it's very colorful and it's very weird looking. I know which art that is too. But Suehiro Mauro, sort of like you know how we've seen work by Junji Ito, like the Tomie stuff, and he does all those weird comic books. I love Junji Ito's work, and but this guy's sort of like the godfather of weird. Not really the godfather, but he has his own special place in hell, I guess, in his work. It's very, very startling work. Like Junji Ito stuff is like nice and spooky and chilling. This guy's stuff is like very disturbing. Like, you know when we saw Devilman? And Devilman, we were like, wow, that's kind of fucked up. When we saw Devilman, I think, Apocalypse of Devilman, where they're killing people and hitting kids in the head with arrows and shit like that. And that's gross. Yeah. It's just gross in the standard sort of shocking gross. This guy's stuff is like disturbing gross, like very weird. Like he's
going to hell gross.
And his work is very Lynchian in a way. He might be actually older than David Lynch. They're probably the same age. I'm not sure. But his work is very unsettling, and I would suggest anyone to look up Suehiro Mauro. It's Suehiro.
Check it out more.
Mauro. Yeah, I think you would love it. A standard of a lot of his work is like he I don't think he invented it, but there's this stunning imagery where this guy is like a lot of his work is based on people from Japan in the Showa era, which is like the 1920s, where everybody had these sort of uniform look. And there's like a photo of this, an image of this kid licking this other girl's eyes while it's open and stuff, and they do that in this film as well.
Yeah,
but it's just like it's really.
That's my favorite scene in the.
It's really, really stunning and very beautiful work. It's just really interesting work to look at, but it's not like shit you can just show to people and be like, "Hey, look, this is fun." It's not.
I think you're sick.
Because I remember he has stuff. I remember reading one, like looking through the comic book, and I had to look around me because I was like, "Oh my god!" Looking at the book, it was a kid who hid inside of an outhouse. And he would look at girls taking shits, and then he would start eating the shit in the sewers.
Oh, no.
Yes, really fucked up. And the thing is, it's not like, wow, this is great because he's eating shit. It's just like, I strive to be a filmmaker, not to write about people eating shit, but like to not have any fear in the stuff that I do. As a writer, right?
Yeah.
Like the fact that a guy has no tethers and no chains to write whatever we want. And like I wouldn't be interested in coprophagia or any shit like that. But just that an artist who is not afraid of writing and doing whatever he wants to do has no fear of repercussions, and then people celebrate you for that.
Wasn't it banned in Japan?
I'm sure it's banned. I didn't read that up on it. But anyway, so that's Suehiro Mauro. He's a fucking great artist, and if you're into that sort of dark art, he's really great. I don't know what he's up to. I'm sure he's still up to today. I think he just released a book a couple of years ago.
Eating so much shit.
He released a book a couple of years ago, so he's still around there. Anyway, so the reason what was interesting about this film is purportedly this is an anime film, and it's very disturbing. It's actually, I think it's quite more disturbing than any of the Devilman stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because it's based
Devilman
in reality.
There at points, but this is like
This is like when I say it's Lynchian in a way, you understand what I mean, right? Like it's just it's absurdist visually, but and the thing is, I'm not a fan of movies where people get tortured or not tortured. Well, tortured, yeah, but like bullied for the first like half of the film.
Yeah, well, the film's only like 50 minutes, so.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not that. It is sort of that movie. And it's also there's some weird like comeuppance for those people.
I wonder how much longer the film would have been if they hadn't lost the footage.
I don't think any footage was actually lost. I think this was just when they released it, it was lost. Like they just because this is a one-man band. So this movie directed by let me see what the guy's name is. What's the guy's name again?
I don't have it in front of me. Hold on.
Very good.
Sorry.
So this guy apparently it's a one-man band film who adapted this book, and I went and looked back at the manga online because it's the actual manga's online, and the last like 2 minutes of the film.
Hiroshi
Harada, when he did when I saw this and then I went to read the comic, I was like, oh, did he miss anything? And it's like exactly the same thing from the movie is like the same thing. So he essentially just used the book as a storyboard and animated it, and I guess he must. So this is a trivia from IMDb because what I've heard is that only he worked on. Obviously, he didn't because there's people, voice actors and there's music going on. Mm-hmm. So here's some trivia. We'll get into the storyline in a second, but Japanese audiences apparently hated this movie so much that they publicly tried to destroy it, leaving only a very small number of surviving copies behind. That sounds a little bit like hyperbole.
That sounds like Salem witch trial shit.
What's that?
What? You mean where we kill all the witches and like?
Oh, okay. I thought you said a German phrase. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. This is all the reason why the movie is so obscure. The movie was banned all over the world, including Japan, for its extreme use of physical, psychological, and sexual abuse against children and small animals. Okay, here it goes. Hiroshi Harada directed it, storyboarded it, fully animated it, and also wrote the screenplay for it. The reason why he found himself doing all of this work because all the studios he approached refused to make a movie that would show so much violence against children. Okay, so maybe they had an issue. I don't know. I've seen plenty of anime where kids get fucked up.
How old is the kid supposed to be? Because it literally, the first thing we see almost is her getting eaten out by an armless, legless...
Yeah, and then you also, like, it's uncensored. You actually see her genitalia, and you see that other, the boy posing as a girl, or maybe she's trans, I'm not sure. You see his penis as well. So, but she looks like no older than 12 years old. She doesn't look like a fucking adult. Like, she looks like a young kid, like 13 or 14.
Yeah, and then she's married to a full-grown man. I'm assuming at that point she's, like, older, maybe?
Yeah, that guy with no arms and no legs. I think they call him the Worm or the Snake Man or something like that. I wasn't sure who was who, what their names were in this film. But
it was definitely inspired by Freaks.
Okay, Harada also put his life savings into this project since no studio was willing to invest in it. The film is based off the manga by Suehiro Mauro. No kidding. Banned in the country of its origin, Japan. Anyway, so let's get into the plot of this film. What is the plot of Shojo Tsubaki Chika Gento Gekiga? Also known as Midori. So, this
girl... Want me to say it, or you going to say it?
You can go ahead.
You son of a bitch. I'm going to talk. So there's this girl... and her mom has rats in her vagina.
Always a great explainer of the story. So this girl is very poor. She only has her mother, and I guess her father had walked out on the family. She one day is tricked into... Actually, what did she do?
She's selling flowers because
right. She sold flower, and a guy who told her.
This guy who runs a freak show, but she doesn't know this at the time. Buys all the flowers and gives her an address, and then her mom dies because I guess rats ate her dead
gruesome.
body.
I guess her mother was ill, and she lifted up the bed sheet, and that sort of gives you the idea of what kind of movie this is when she lifts up the bed sheet and you see rats eating her legs and like basically in her cooch, and she's dead, and then she runs up.
Turner and Cooch, is that a movie? Hooch.
That's good. I'd watch that movie.
Isn't it like Tom Hanks with a dog?
Hanks, yeah.
Turner and Cooch.
It was funny, like when you realize how much work Tom Hanks has done as an actor, and then I remember seeing, he was in a comedy version of Dragnet, like before they started making serious movies into comedy films like Land of the Lost. Well, I guess
you're talking about.
No, he was in a movie called Dragnet with Dan Aykroyd.
Like a remake of the Okay,
yes, okay. and he actually made a rap video with Dan Aykroyd where he's rapping for the soundtrack. God. And he's performing in the video. It's embarrassing. What do you think? Anyway, so she has no money. She decides to go to the address that the man gave to her that bought all her roses.
Big mistake.
And she is, I guess, promptly raped by a whole sideshow freak. There's a woman. What is the woman's thing? She's like a snake woman. There's a woman who lets snakes, and her breasts are always exposed. There's a guy with no arms who I don't understand how he rapes her later and he has no arms, so I don't know how he took his pants off. I would assume he uses his feet to take his pants off.
I don't know, the guy in Freaks lit cigarettes and shit, remember?
That's true, but that's lighting a cigarette. This one is never mind. Then there's also a human worm guy who's just like the guy from Freaks, the other guy who lit his own cigarette.
There's a leper, there's like a strong man.
There's that dude with the twisted body that they have to... Yeah, that is a real thing, it's very sad because I've seen that on Spanish television where they show this kid.
How could that be real?
Oh no, it's very real. I forgot what the name of what it's called, that affliction, but the kid's head is literally his head is literally upside down on his body. It's very fucked up. I don't understand how that happened. It is, and he's just talking, and I'm like, dude,
my neck is hurting just thinking about it.
And I'm like, you're just looking at everything upside down the whole time.
When I stare down at my phone sometimes.
I actually slept the wrong way in my bed, and my shoulder hurts. So, but it's nothing like having my whole fucking head upside down.
We should call up somebody with this affliction and tell them about our neck pain.
Heart problems. It's like, do you know what I'm going through? What about me?
Do you know I was staring at my phone earlier and I hurt my neck?
So there's all these freak shows. There's also this I believe this transgendered boy who wants to be.
I think it's. To live his life I don't think because at the end he cuts
his hair off, but he's very.
So I think it's really just a gimmick. I don't think it was actually.
No, but you could. I think what happens at the end when he cuts his hair off, you can see he's crying about it. He doesn't want to be a boy. So that's also focusing on something else that's I think pretty mature.
Yeah, but this is a person. You know what? I don't care. He's
a piece of shit. He's an absolute piece of shit.
Fuck it.
It's very weird how Japan.
I don't care. Whatever.
It's very weird of how forgiving people are in Japan. Mostly, some movies you'll see a Japanese guy.
I'm gonna miss them. It's you were raped by them.
You were raped and brutalized by these people. All your whole. You didn't have to.
Horrible to you.
They raped. It's almost like there's this guy named Osamu Tezuka who's a giant. He's basically the godfather of manga, right? He everybody not follows his style, but eventually he was the one that brought in the sort of the big eyes into manga. and he like all of for some reason all of his books, there's like rape in every one of them, and people just sort of blow it off. Like, like guys rape women, and the women are like, oh, whatever. I'm like, what the fuck? Anyway, I guess those guys don't think about it or something. I don't know what the hell's going on. So she is now ensconced in this group of freaks, and
the big words.
This I don't even know if that word was right for the sentence.
Ensconced.
But this Midori is stuck with this group of people who are complete pieces of trash. Tell her about the puppy scene. That was your favorite part.
The possible transsexual girl.
I think a trans person. I don't know. I think transsexual is offensive.
I feel like that was just like
get woke or go broke, Danny.
What?
I said get woke or go broke. All right, so whatever. This trans.
I'm not saying. Okay, whatever. She sees some puppies under the house and stomps on them and then
eats them. Yeah.
And I wanted to jump through the screen and kill her.
The armless guy rapes Midori. The strong man. There's a part where he throws her up, and he throws her so hard she hits her head on the ceiling. I mean, the snake lady's a total bitch. It seems like the guy.
Don't insult dogs anymore.
I guess the guy who's, I guess that's smart. The guy who the accountant was the one who tricked her into it was a piece of shit anyway. So this whole thing is she's just getting terribly treated every fucking day. It's just like shit on her every day until a guy named Wanda Masamitsu comes in. He's they call him
dwarf who goes inside
they call him a dwarf, and he's able to stretch and or make himself thin enough to go inside of a bottle, right? Like
no, I don't think he's making. I think he's just magic.
Yeah, no, I know that, but I'm just saying physically when you look at it, he looks like he's stretching himself inside of a glass bottle, sort of like one of those old sort of water jug bottles. And everybody's like, "Oh shit!" So a lot of people start coming into the shows, and they're basically coming to see that. And he starts falling in love with Midori. And the thing is, he starts spooking the shit out of the rest of those assholes in the crew.
He's creepy.
He is, because he gives this sort of look to people, and you're like, "Ooh, I don't want to fuck with this guy," even though he's a dwarf. Although in the size-wise, you sort of don't notice that he looks like a dwarf, honestly, because he's as tall as Midori.
Yeah, but
he's probably like 5 feet. She's probably 5 feet too. It's true. So it's like it's very weird.
I think in the beginning she's like 11 or 12, and then when that guy comes in, she's already been there for like 2 years, maybe.
You think so? Yeah, I thought it was only probably a year, but I wasn't sure. And the way that the story sort of progresses, it's not like a natural sort of story. Like they obviously could have added a lot more to pad the storyline up.
They might have, though. There might have been missing things.
Yeah, I want to check the book because when I saw the last chapter of the book, I think he literally just animated what was in the book. Like I don't think he did any more or any less because
is it like accurate the animation?
Yeah, like I looked at the book and the book exactly the same. Like
so why did this guy do it and not the manga writer?
Because I don't know. Maybe there's some artists that don't give a fuck about adapting their, stuff into film. Like they know people will just fuck it up. Even Stephen King fucked up his own writing.
I don't think this fucked it up. I mean, I haven't.
No, I don't think so either. He was probably like okay that the guy did it. Like, but I don't think
the live action looks like it fucked it up.
I think here's the thing: if he's a professional mangaka artist, and there's a lot of people that actually drop dead doing manga because there's so much work doing it.
Yeah.
Because the volume of pages you have to have, because it's a weekly thing. You know how American comics is monthly? Manga over there is a weekly. Like, you got to have, 20 pages a week. It's not fucking, 30 pages a month.
Remember that movie we did, I Am a Hero?
Yeah.
And it showed he was a manga
guy,
right,
there's 5 or 6 people on one team for one book.
Yeah, you get to see, how they do it, and it's, crazy.
So, I doubt this guy was going to drop his livelihood to make a movie that he won't know if it would make any money. Do you know what I mean? So, he probably had to, really... That's like a dedication. Like, this guy obviously dedicated his time. I don't know how he had the money or whatever to do it. Yeah. But I think Suehiro Mauro was busy drawing his book. I don't think he would risk his livelihood just to fucking do a movie version. I'm sure people would have eventually gotten to it.
I wonder if people had such a horrible reaction to the manga that they did to the movie, as far as banning it and all this shit.
I wonder. I mean, like, if this guy enjoyed it enough to animate it himself, I'm sure he had people help him. There's no question about that. But like, there obviously it's an audience, and I wonder if because you just saw the trailer for the new live action film that I think came out about 3 years ago.
Not that great.
It looked cheap. It had like porno movie sort of budget to it. But the girl was cute playing Midori, but she looked way older, so that's probably proper what they did.
Probably better.
But the fact that I don't know whether it was sort of adapted because of the book itself or because of the anime. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think obviously the anime is not so popular enough that it becomes sort of a lost film. But I think that, people appreciate Suehiro enough that they'll try to make a live action out of it. So, because I haven't seen anything else that they've made that was based like on his work. I'm not.
I mean, this seems like a cool story for an anime with the lost film and all this kind of shit.
Yeah, and I think definitely it automatically like the anime is definitely like a panel for panel animation. So I don't think they did anything more or less for it. And I think that when they say he storyboarded it, I was like, what the fuck did they storyboard? Like, the art even looks exactly like it does in the book. It's like, because usually with adaptations, they'll change the artwork and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Just slightly, unless, like, the artwork is so well known they won't change it. So, like Yu Yu Hakusho will look just like the Yu Yu Hakusho, the comic book, because it's such a popular book.
Is the manga of that, is the show accurate to the manga?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe the art is the same as the book.
The story
I've never read it. I don't know. I never followed it.
I love that. I love that show.
Right, and then the opposite end is like there's a thing called Attack on Titan, which is a big show about people fighting these gigantic monsters and stuff like that. And the art is a little bit better on on the animation side because the original art is so weird and gothic looking, and sort of amateurish in a way. That they change it, and the art is just panel for panel the same as the fucking thing. It looks like he just photocopied it and sort of. And the thing is, when I was watching it, I realized, it does look like one guy animated it because it's very slightly animated. It's not huge. There's not a lot of animation in it.
Yeah, it's like super like Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, so when you see actual animation of like when Midori's walking away from the guy, you're like, oh shit. And there's a section where these 3 kids run away from the accountant guy. And I was like, wow, there's animation there. Like, it's actual animation. Like, for the most part, it's like fade-in frames. So like it's like a passage of time for a second. Yeah, like still frame animation, which is not bad. I think it still works for it, just because it's colored so well. But the animation comes in the freak out scenes, like the violent stuff.
Yeah, that was fun.
And the psychotic stuff.
So
that's when the animation was super.
Is this guy supposed to be like the devil or something, or is he just like a magician?
Well, they mention, they have a subtitle that there was a magician arts, and they blame China for it. Obviously, Japan and China always getting along, huh?
Yeah.
They say that there was a secret sect of magicians, and I don't
understand why she would want to be with him after she was imprisoned, and he turned everybody into like mutants because they called him short ass.
If she was, I think he was just upset because of her, and that just grew on him. So that's probably why he went insane.
But he imprisoned her.
Well, listen, if she was able to forgive people that raped her, this guy who was treating her halfway decently.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
He's very creepy.
Yeah, and I mean, he basically killed that one guy. He stuck mud on the guy who raped her down his mouth, and she kind of rejected him. Meanwhile, he was like, "I did it for you," but Yeah, it seems like they haven't.
I would love if someone killed a leper for me.
They have not done anything with Suehiro Maru's work, so he's more like straight up artist, which sucks because, well, then again, I don't know what the fuck they would do with this work. His work is so strange. I don't understand what they could do with it. Meanwhile, Hiroshi Harada works on like Final Fantasy and stuff like that, so good for him. But he's like a legal guy.
Still doing stuff?
Yeah, but he's like programming and legal stuff. I don't think he does animation anymore. I think he's just like, I think maybe the animation that took it out of him. He was like, "Fuck this." He only did 2 things: the Death Lullaby and Shojo Tsubaki. So he went straight into he was part of he worked on Lost in Translation. That's funny. Anyway, I don't know. It just says miscellaneous crew. Maybe he was
Bill Murray's double.
Yeah, no, he was grabbing Scarlett Johansson's butt. I was like, this
no,
is
that
tradition.
would be a great job to have.
It's tradition. Anyway, so the whole second half of this film is Midori dealing with her kooky new boyfriend, and he has a psychic freak out. So he's actually a magician, and
Or
it leads to a very.
I think he makes people have visions or something.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, because then he makes that whole crowd like mutate, and there's penises growing out of people's chests and shit. It's all fucked up, and it's beautiful looking shot.
It looked like the Frank Zappa claymation for baby snakes.
And what ends up happening is that it says, "Oh, the people came back to normal mostly," and I was like, "Oh, okay." I thought he had killed them because in the book it's much more severe looking when he draws that shit, Suehiro. But as a whole, what did you? Also, the ending makes no fucking sense. I don't know what happened. He gets killed. He gets stabbed to death.
And then she's just like alone.
Yeah, she runs off, and she has she's suddenly running in a loop. So I don't know what happened. I don't know whether he hypnotized and she stayed in the hypnosis. I think he might have hypnotized
her to think they were going to a better life, but really
because she wanted to go back home, and then he basically gave her a dream where she was back with her family, happy. I guess he gave her a false happy memory, and then I guess they were deciding to go off to Tokyo because this is like the countryside, so Tokyo is like the big city life, and that's where she always wanted to go. But she said she wanted to go home, so I don't understand where.
Wait, how does the Green Acres is the place for me. Farm living is the life for me. And then what's the part about the city? It's like. City is the place where I want to be.
You can never give me shit for trailing off ever again because I gave you literally 20 seconds to do that. So, at the end, she's basically running around in a loop, and a guy sneezing. Raiden from Mortal Kombat is sneezing as he's doing his daily work.
Yeah.
And then also then she sees them laughing at her, and she decides to attack him with a stick.
Now she's angry. Now when they raped her and everything, but they're laughing.
Then she's by herself, and then she starts to cry. And I looked I was like, let me see what the book does. And it was like the exact same ending. So I was like, okay. So I had no idea what the fuck happened to her at the end.
I think he put a spell on her to think that she was having a better life, and then he somehow died. Like a person who can do all this magic and shit can get stabbed by some common thief.
Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, I think that was just I think he had no idea how to end it and just made it weird for weird's sake. Very Lynchian. That's very Lynchian, that ending. So what did you think on the whole of the film? Shojo Tsubaki Chika Gento Gekiga 1982, also known as Midori.
I mean, it was great. It was fucking.
I liked it.
First of all, I loved how short it was. It was only 50 minutes. Right. I wish there was more clarification,
right?
In parts, because it kind of, it's a little story weak at points, and the ending kind of is confusing. But it was fucking cool.
Did you think the animation was serviceable? It was okay?
Yeah, it was great. I loved it. The animation was fucking cool. It was just simple. Oh, did you hear that?
So the bad part of this I didn't hear it. No.
Okay,
so the bad part of this is just that it had no sort of clarification in the plot wise.
Yeah, the story's a little weak. It could have been longer. Maybe there was some missing footage or something. I don't know.
I think this is a good commercial and representation of Suehiro's, I guess, more tamer work. I would say just look into Suehiro Mauro's
I want to see his fucked up work.
Oh, he's very fucked up, and his books are out there.
I want to see his most fucked up manga.
I'm sure it's out there. There's there's 2 mangaka artists that I think are up there and fucked up. You follow the other guy. What's his name? Shintaro Kago is his name. God damn, I'm gonna edit all that crap out.
Shintaro Kago. Oh yeah, okay, good.
Shintarokago. That guy, I think, is he's a genius.
He's wonderful.
He's an absolute genius. Just look up his work. He's a fucking He's a brilliant person. Somebody I wish I was even a third intelligent as that guy. Just because of the wild.
I mean, I wish you were a third as intelligent as a
lot of people do about that. But Shintaro's work is like Suehiro's, that it's arresting, and Shintaro's work is
One of my favorite is the one with the people's faces that have roller coasters coming out of them.
Yes, and Shintaro's work is as vile as Suehiro Mauro. So like, there was one comic book that Shintaro Kago did where it was like, it was a photo diary of a woman's corpse and all the horrible things the main character's POV was doing. It's very fucked up, but it's like one of those things where the brilliance of the creation of it, everything's tongue in cheek and fucked up. Anyway,
he seems like he would be a fun person to be friends with.
So yeah, that is our recommendations. We just jumped off into Shintaro Kago for some reason, and he has his own YouTube channel, which is very funny because he makes bizarre animations. But this film, what rating would you give this movie, Danny?
I'm gonna give it a solid 8 out of 10. Seeing your mother with rats eating near her vagina, and that's really just like the best part of your upcoming life.
Yeah. For this film, Shojo Tsubaki Chika Gekiga, also known as Midori, I also would give it an 8 out of 10 just because it's a rare film. It's based on a very fantastic artist, Suehiro Mauro.
8 out of 10 what?
8 out of 10 forgiving your assaulters and then saying, I hope we see them again one day. Very, very backwards sort of living, this young girl. She needs some counseling.
She does.
Very quickly. And with that, Danny, what's the final word?
Shintaro Kago.
The horror deconstruction.